Hello and welcome to another video review by Rich from BenchTec. Today we're going to be looking at the Foxconn FlamingBlade GTI. This is one of four motherboards that Foxconn have got in their Quantum Force X58 range. This is the lowest of the four. This is the cheapest board. Above it we have the FlamingBlade itself, then they have the Blood Rage GTI, and finally top of the pack they have the Foxconn Blood Rage, which if you check out the other videos, some of our other videos, they've got the Foxconn Blood Rage video review already in there, so you'll get to see the other board, the top of the range board, and you'll be able to see the differences between them. So this is as I said, this is the cheapest board. This is £132 from a shop called Novatech in the UK, which is a very good price for an X58 motherboard. Or in America, in Newegg, I found it for $175, which was the cheapest ATX X58 motherboard that I could find on Newegg. So it obviously stacks up quite well in terms of price. Hopefully it can hold its own in terms of performance as well. But we'll find that out when I start to have a play with it. Firstly, let's get it out the box and have a look at it and see what we've got here. So a little bit about BenchTec while I'm just opening this up. We're an extreme overclocking website. A bunch of guys who like to play around with sub-zero temperatures and stuff like dry ice and liquid nitrogen. So we obviously want the best out of our hardware, and that's how we get it. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. Feel free to pop over and introduce yourself, or post up on the forums if you've got any questions, or you want to hear more about the board if there's something I've forgotten or haven't covered in this video. So there'll also be some high quality photos going up on the website, so if you can't see anything in the video, if it's not quite as good a quality as you need it to, be able to check out the high quality photos and hopefully see what you need to there. Right, so there's the motherboard, the FlamingBlade GTI. It sticks with the black and red colour scheme that the Blood Rage has, which I think is a great choice for a budget board. Sometimes for other manufacturers you'll see them really sort of reduce the quality of the board so much that they go back to brown PCBs and everything. But no, they've stuck with the black PCB. You've got the red and the black colour scheme, which I think works really well, and it looks like a really good board. Even though you're not paying the price for a really good board. So I don't mean that in a bad way, obviously. I just mean you're paying the budget board price, and you're getting something that looks like the top end. So that's a good thing. Having a look around the motherboard, we've got 8 USB ports on the back plate on the I/O panel here. We've got a digital optical audio out port. We've then got a PS2 port. Got a gigabit Ethernet port here, and that's provided by a Realtek RTL 8111C chip on the motherboard, in case you're interested in that. And the other one is the Realtek 7.1 HD audio that you can see here. That's provided by an ALC 888 codec chip as well. So moving on around, let's have a look at the PCI Express slots here. We've got two PCI Express 2 16 times full capability slots here. These will take any graphics card, but the board officially supports Crossfire X, AMD Crossfire X. As for NVIDIA SLI, you'll have to wait and see on that one. I'd suggest you pop over into the forums and check out, because I may be able to let you in on a little secret with that. But aside from that, we've got a PCI Express 2 4 times slot here. This will be for something like a RAID card, or maybe if you've got a PCI Express wireless card, you might want to put it in there. If you've just got a PCI wireless card, you'll be using the 2 PCI slots here, or a sound card. Some of the old creative stuff will be going into those PCI slots there. Moving on round, we've got an IDE port here. That's for a floppy drive if you need it, if you're still using them. USB 2 expansion ports here. That takes the board total up to 12. If you need that many ports, you can plug some headers in there. Moving on round, we've got a debug LED here. This is for if you've got any problems with the board, maybe in terms of memory compatibility, maybe in terms of forgetting to plug some power cables in, or just wanting to know that the board's booting up and it's going through the correct post sequence. You can look at this and it will tell you what's going on with the board when it turns on. Very useful for me for overclocking, because then I can find out what's gone wrong, what's failed, and hopefully be able to get around it. Moving on, we've got the traditional IDE connector here. That's for any hard drives, CD-ROM drives, DVD drives you might still have that are IDE, and 6 serial ATA ports. That'll be plenty enough for me, and hopefully everyone else as well. ATX connector here, and you'll notice we've got the battery up by the RAM slots, by the DDR3 slots here as well. I like that actually, because then it moves it away from the area of the board, which is typically the battery is down here somewhere where you may be covering it with large graphics cards. So stick it out the way, make it accessible, in case you need to take the battery out and clear the CMOS, or overnight if you've really pushed too far on the board and done something with the BIOS. You've got a clear CMOS here, which resets your BIOS settings back to normal if you need it. Aside from that, looking into the bottom corner here, we've got some little silver pads here. Now these are voltage read points, exactly the same as the Blood Rage. You've got some little metal contacts here that you can read off the CPU V core, the uncore volts, the DDR3 voltage. There's a load of them there, so you can watch what's going on the board, especially under load conditions. That helps you find out what the voltage is doing under load, and gives you a better idea of what you need to increase or maybe even decrease for your overclock. Moving on up, we've got the Core i7 socket here, and around it you'll notice exactly the same as the Blood Rage. They've kept a lot of the useful features from the Blood Rage, in terms of you've got this LGA 1366 mounting holes here, which are your normal Core i7 mounting holes, but you've also got your socket 775 mounting holes here, which means you don't have to get new mounting hardware for any heat sinks that you've got, which is so simple yet so good really for making things easy, and an out of the box experience. You don't get disappointed. Moving on up, we've got a 6-phase hybrid PWM circuitry for the power delivery to the CPU here. That's out of the same sort of book as the Blood Rage. The Blood Rage has got a 12+2, so it's slightly different, but obviously you're buying a cheaper board, so that you've got to expect that. And it's got a nice power circuitry heatsink here that covers all the PWM circuitry. Should keep things cool enough. We'll find out on that one anyway. And you've got this heatsink here, which is obviously covering the IOH, which is the main chipset for the motherboard. It's so difficult to not call that the North Bridge. Old habits die hard, I guess, with that. So I'm forcing myself to call it the IOH, even though it's a bit more of a mouthful. But that just about concludes the look around the board. As you can see there, that's the top side. If we turn them over, pretty bog standard backside to the motherboard. You've got the socket retention plate here, which you'll obviously have to fit your mounting hardware for your CPU cooler around. That's standard to all i7 motherboards though, so that's no big surprise there. Last thing to point out on this one is you've got one BIOS chip for the motherboard. On the Blood Rage you have two, so you can flash two separate BIOSes, but this one only has one. It's not going to be a great limitation, but it would have been nice to see two BIOS chips. I guess they do reserve that for the higher end boards, so it's something that they can cut back on to make this sort of board cheaper and more available, which is good. Now that's a look at the board. Let's just put that down and to the side a second and take a look at the accessories package. I don't think I've got the full box here from Foxconn. This board has obviously gone out to someone else beforehand, and I've got a little selection of stuff. We've got a quick install guide, your motherboard manual and driver CD, I/O panel backplate if you're going to be sticking it in a case, IDE cable there, and a few serial ATA cables there. They're quite nice quality ones actually. I've been using those and they do stand out from the rest. They're pretty good. I'd expect you to be getting a slightly fuller box if you bought a retail package from Foxconn in that respect, so don't pay too much attention to that. It's just a quick look at what they've got. So there we have it, the Foxconn FlamingBlade GTI motherboard. if you do need any more questions answered, feel free to pop over to the forums. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And we also have a Foxconn representative on the forums as well, so he'll be able to answer any of your questions as well. That about sums it up for today. As always, if you're interested in overclocking, especially if you're in the UK, pop over to BenchTec. We'll be more than happy to help you out with anything, or if you just want to introduce yourself. There you go then, guys. Hope to see you soon with another review, but until then, take care. See you guys.